Hey everybody, I'm Deborah with DC Fine Art, and today is I'm doing my final review on the Paletteful pack November 2022. And I went ahead and did this speed painting of this sunflower. I attempted to do the sunflower. I know that they had different prompts where you can do either a sunflower, a cat, a moon, a crown, and I decided to just try and attempt to do a sunflower uh, with the products that they gave me in the Paletteful pack box. And then I could go ahead and give you guys my final review of what I thought of the products. First off, the paper. I just want to let you guys know I did enjoy the paper. The paper was actually super nice. It held up really well. I know that I did get it wet because I was doing some of the charcoal blending, and since it said that the General's charcoal, you could use the like water to it and add water to make it kind of like a wash. So I did do that just to kind of see what it would do. And it didn't do bad. Of course, I do like the General's charcoal. So it did do a very good job. As far as the, so I'm going to set that aside because we did go ahead and cover it. The Derwent Artist pencil that was not listed on my descriptions where I could read off what it consists of, how much, or anything like that. But I used the blue in a lot of this, and it did show up on the paper nicely, and I did enjoy using that one also. So that was a good pencil that I did enjoy using. The metallics on the Create-A-Color showed up really nicely on this, so it did a very good job with doing the colors. The only thing I can say is that it was very difficult to try and make sunflowers with the products that they gave me in the Paletteful pack box, because they didn't give me a whole lot of colors to be able to create a really vibrant kind of sunflower. So it definitely was a different type of sunflower. There were no browns or anything like that. And I did attempt to try and mix the colors here to try and give me some darker colors or some brownish colors. Just trying to attempt that with the colors that I have. And it was very difficult. If not, I could not do that. So it was lacking some colors in there or color variation to be able to mix and give me a different color on the paper. So it came out more like this, which is still, I mean, it's very cute, but I mean, it's just, yeah, it was definitely a challenge, let's just say, to try and get this, using the colors that I had. Now, I went ahead and used some of my Holbein pencils here that they gave me, and it did show up really nicely. It went over the top of the color pencil very nicely. So those showed up. I mean, they did a really good job. They're very creamy, very smooth. So whenever I applied them, I did enjoy using the Holbein on this piece just to add the colors. Let's see here. The Stabilo Pen 68. Of course, I used that for some of the highlights all the way around this flower, which I mean, it was very opaque. It really does stand out, and it just created that pop to the flower. So I really did enjoy using this Stabilo Pen 68. Really, really nice pencil. It did a really good job. Alright, so now we come to the Jelly Roll. I did not use my Jelly Roll pen. I just didn't really seem like I needed it for anything on the sunflower, since they already gave me a Posca pen. You know, I just went ahead and used my Posca pen instead of using the Jelly Roll. Didn't really need to get into too fine a detail with it, so not for sure. But I know that, you know, these Jelly Rolls have been around for a little while. And people do like using them for adding highlights over the top of color pencil. It's just, I didn't really need or had a use for it. I mean, I could actually just put, yeah, I mean, it adds, it's almost, it's pretty much like the Posca, as far as like just adding, like I can add little dots to it, and it adds a fine detail. It's just, I didn't really have too much of a need for it in this piece. Alright, down to the brush. I did use the brush to be able to do some of the washes on the General's charcoal, and I mean it is a brush. I mean, it does work and everything. It didn't add too much water to it, which is good, because otherwise it probably would have really warped this paper, since it's not a watercolor based paper. It is a drawing paper. But the paper really did hold up for being just a drawing paper whenever I went over it, and it did not damage or anything. And whenever it was like basically got really wet, it still did a very good job. So it didn't really bend or bow up too much, just a little bit, but I dried it with a hairdryer. I'll have to get that off. That's a little bit of a, I'll just do that with an eraser, how to use a gum eraser. But for the most part, for being a drawing paper, it really stood up very well, and I didn't have no issues with it. I really do like this paper. It's a good paper. So the brush is okay. Here is my thing. I did use the metallic on this, or the silver, and it did a very nice job. I just kind of added some little sparkles just like all over the place in the area, just kind of like adding a little bit of shimmer. It did a very good job. Now my white one, I did have an issue with it, and I'm hoping if I just open this up, it's not gonna like leak out. But it was kind of like I was doing my lines, and it was kind of drying out and wasn't adding too much of the liquid. And maybe it could have been just because I was using it on top of this pencil. But when I pushed down just to get a little bit more out, it just came pouring out, and it kind of flooded an area to where I literally had to wipe it back up while it was still wet, so that way I could correct it. But it actually puddled, and I had to basically stream it and push it in the direction that I wanted to cover. So it really puddled up, and then I tried it again, and it puddled up again. When it came out, it came pouring out in big old lumps to where I had a small puddle. And then whenever it dried, even though I tried my best to kind of soak up some of this stuff, you can see here, if I can hold it closely, it started to crackle. So we have a crackling going on just because of how much came out of this one. Now, I didn't really do it on this one here, but I was only drawing like little bitty lines. I wasn't trying to fill in anything. But whenever I tried to fill it in, and then I kind of went dry to where nothing was really coming out, and I barely pushed down just a little bit, it just came out like pouring out. So definitely have to be careful with these Poscas. At least that's what I've come to find out. You have to be very careful with them. Plus that, you don't want it to get too thick, otherwise you will have crackling going on. So kind of like paint. Now, as far as the paper, glass, plastic, metal, this Stabilo Aquarellable, I guess you can actually get it wet too. But whenever I was actually trying to fill it in, it was really gummy feeling, and it started to like roll up, like you had a bunch of like crumbs like everywhere. So it kept on crumbing up on me. It was really kind of tacky feeling, and very kind of like a waxy tacky feeling, which is kind of, different, very different. So it definitely felt weird a little bit, at least to me it did. Maybe it's because, using this on glass or plastic or metal might be what you should be using this majority for, instead of using it on paper. I mean, you can use it on paper, but it was just more gummy unless you try and use some adding some water to it. That might make a difference to it, which actually I can go ahead and try that, since I did a little bit of water on that. But it started to crumb up, and that's whenever I'm adding, like, whenever you do it for the first time, see, it's already crumbing up on the paper. But if I did this and added some more, look at all my crumbs. It is not like for you to add thick layers to it, or it starts crumbing up. I guess crumbing or crumbling. Alright, let's add a little bit of water to this just to kind of see. Well, there you go. Okay, so it is very... Yeah, it's very water soluble. That was really easy. And see, the brush doesn't hold a lot of water. Like it goes dry really quick, and that just be maybe because it's a paper, it's um a drawing paper instead of being a watercolor paper. But yeah, the brush doesn't like to hold a lot of water. It is a smaller brush. But yeah, it's blending out really, really good. So I guess instead of, if you're going to use it dry without using the water, just beware. It likes to crumb up and get really gummy. Kind of like if you layer and layer and layer on top, it gets really gummy. And then if you add water to it, of course, it dissolves really nicely. It actually dissolves a lot more color to it than the charcoal. So if you're wanting something just a little bit more brighter than the charcoal that kind of faded a whole lot more, then this one here would fade just a little bit, but not as much as the charcoal. But still, it's kind of very similar, except for the gumminess. So that's just basically my review on it. Other than that, I think the main thing that I was fighting, besides any of it, I know that there was an issue with this puddling up and stuff, so I was kind of fighting with this Posca marker. This was gumming up. The pencil, Aquarelle, Stabilo, well actually it's the Stabilo All, the paper glass one. These two I was fighting, trying to work them. Like it wasn't being nice to me. So these two were not being nice to me. This one was being nice, but these two were not being nice to me. But the other thing is just trying to work with the colors that I had to try and create something like what they offered, like the sunflower or a cat or, stuff like that. I guess you could create a crown and a moon. I mean, those are probably be the easier one, but it would probably take a lot more time for me to do that. And I wanted to do something kind of simple and quick just to kind of get a good feel for the products that they gave me. And yeah, other than that, there was the color choices that I had to choose from, or these two that I wasn't really too fond of. So I wasn't really too fond of these two, but I mean, there's always like another time maybe they might come in handy, especially if I'm using this for anything glass or plastic or metal. That probably might come in handy very much. The Posca one, it's just kind of scary with it puddling out. I guess maybe I should just use it. Maybe it's just this one, because the silver one didn't do too bad, but this one here really poured out. So maybe I just pumped it a little bit too much, but it was doing that several times. So yeah, I guess, so as far as my review goes, my favorite thing I would have to say out of this Paletteful pack box that I really, really, really liked, I really do like this black paper. This is a super nice black paper. It is by Strathmore. It's the Strathmore drawing or a journal. It has 100 pages in it. 7-inch. It's a 7 by 10 inch. And yeah, I really did enjoy using this black paper that they have in here. So yeah, definitely amazing paper. And of course, some of the metallics here was really good too. So there was some good things. It's just definitely kind of a different project to be able to add all these different types of pencils or paint and all these different things and combine them to create something. I just wish that there was a little bit more of a color choice. That would have been really nice and a little bit more easier probably to be able to create. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review and the speed painting. If you are new to my channel, please click the like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel. And I guess, let's see, I think the next video we are going to be doing is the continuation of the color pencil piece that I'm working on with the little hamster and the teapot and the little muffins. So we'll be doing that. And yeah, that'll be my next video. So I'll see you all next time. Bye, you guys.